tonight. I'm a little bit tired after a really hard game, the under-22 Australian team against the Colts team. But up next, here we have the Australian under-22 women's team against the New Zealand under-22 women. Of course, the Australian under-22 women do have a couple of ring-ins. They're technically an under-27 team when Coach Hannah plays for them. I don't know if she's in the water today, but she well might be. I'll see if I can have a look and spot her. Yeah, there she is, about to take this first strike. So, a bit of an age mismatch here, but it has been the New Zealanders getting the best of this matchup so far. And this match, of course, not actually a semi-final, similar to the Colts and Barbarians. The women's under-22 team only has 2 teams competing, so this is the last matchup of the round robin before the final tomorrow, and both of these teams will be competing in the final. Early free against the New Zealand team here. It looks like they've been pushed back. Didn't see what that free was for. The Australian team look like they're about to take it from just about halfway now. All the players on the bottom, and it looks like they're going to want to take this one very wide, swimming towards our cameras here. Can't go see how it is. Nice over the top maneuver there by that Kiwi, but foiled by number 9 from Australia. I'll get the team list in a second. That's Molly Martin playing number 9. She's the captain of this team. Don't know how Molly got that award here, but I'm sure she's done something to deserve it. They're all the way over in the corner now, Australia, putting on a bit of pressure against this New Zealand backline. New Zealand look like they've made a nice 45 drive here. Australia curling that one off. Not sure who that is though. But good work from here. It's Molly again, letting the hair flow free underneath her cap. New Zealand driving down now underneath the Australian sub-bench. And very close to the goal there. Good work by that forward. Grabbing that one and pushing it out. That might be Coach Hannah. And the referee has just knocked the crap out of our camera. And we're getting, look at that very, very serious expression on that referee. Not a single look of repentance on their face. But we do actually have a pretty good view of this wall down here. This is normally in the blind spot of our camera. Unfortunately, the teams are not interested in keeping it there. This is going to be a free now against Australia, pushing them back against their goal tray. Lots of subs coming in here from this New Zealand team as the New Zealanders set up to take this free. This could be a good chance for them. Hopefully we can get that camera fixed. Camerawoman Bridie basically running. She's stopped running now. She's walking towards the camera to get that one fixed. I'm not sure what the hold-up is.
Looks like some confusion here. Refs might be calling it against New Zealand now.
I'd like everyone to welcome Claudia to the commentator's booth. Claudia not playing for one of the Australian teams here. They're all very disappointed, as I'm sure all of the teams would have liked to have Claudia on their side.
Thank you, James.
But now it looks like the New Zealand team pushing across to the opposite side. Into the New Zealand team's defence as we just fix up this camera. And it's looking pretty good there. And announcer Dave.
There's another call being made
Making
against
a
New
lot of
Zealand
noise.
here. Australia pushing up.
Australia about to take this free here. Swimming it wide, and it looks like a good switch. New Zealand moving to cover very quickly. And Australia have the woman over the top, and it looks like she's managed to get it. Coming down the wall here. She has support on the inside. We'll see if they can find it here. Australia now all the way across the other side of the pool. Didn't look for that support in the centre forward, but it looks like the back's doing a good job swimming it all the way across. The referee's calling advantage, and it looks like they've had enough. The hand's gone in the air. That's going to be a chopping foul against New Zealand. New Zealand now being pushed back. Good work from them, really containing this Australian possession. The Australians unable to make much ground forward. They've been swimming it back and forth, trying to find a weakness in this New Zealand defence. But now Australia swimming very square towards our cameras. Lots of New Zealanders on the outside here. Good work by New Zealand number 10. I'll see if I can get that team sheet up in a second to see who that was. Chopping down that flick. New Zealand number 10, Georgia Colquhoun. Stopping that switch. And now it's on the wall here, pinned underneath the Australian sub-bench. and we can see a lot of numbers from New Zealand coming in, driving the Australians back. The referee is now calling a chopping foul. It's going to go against Australia. So this is another free that the New Zealanders are going to take very close to the Australian goal side. New Zealand looks like they're doing one of their signature maneuvers. I'm not sure exactly what it is, but they've got one pinky finger in the air. Seems to be the signal for this one. Australia, good work curling that one out and back onto the back wall. New Zealand looked like they were interested in switching it around there, but shut down by the Australian wing. Number 11 for Australia there. I think that might be Caitlin Ten-Bensel.
Australia is keeping it strong along the back wall there.
And now both teams really look like they want to bring it in the centre. Looks like New Zealand's got the best of the possession though, bringing it all the way around and then charging back in the middle there. Maybe bringing it in a little too early though, because it looks like Australia's managed to strip the puck off them and find a lot of room down that open wing away from our cameras. New Zealand look like they've managed to turn them as the Australian back just manages to spill the puck through and curl around on it. New Zealand now, big drive from them. Australian back just managing to get through. Australian back just throwing away possession there. That was Tori Wickham, the vice captain. She did not want to be caught with that puck on her stick. And New Zealand, lots of players down. It looks like they've driven the puck all the way into the goal tray. Australians not able to rotate around fast enough. Number 5 from New Zealand scoring that goal. Number 5 from New Zealand, that's Gabby Steer scoring that goal. And good work from all the New Zealand team here, really getting down in numbers, managing to drive that one in. And the Australian defense, maybe just throwing away possession a little bit too lightly there, that close to the goal. Obviously wanting to get it really far away from the goal, but possibly not worth it there. The Australian team's now called a timeout. We do have just under 10 minutes left in this first half as the first goal goes to the New Zealand under-22s team. Gabby Steer scoring that one for New Zealand. And we have what looks like Harry Vanderwood under the water there, just giving our camera 2 a bit of a test run as he sticks his face right in front of it. Fortunately, we didn't have that up for you guys. I can see it here on our multi-camera array. Looks like we've got a lot of coaches here for this Australian team. We've got Coach Jack Robertisso, formerly coach of the Australian Under-18 Men's B squad. Of course, they were knocked out of the competition earlier today by the New Zealand Under-18 Diamond team. And also Coach Vanderwood appears to be in the coach's box along with Coach Stinson. Don't know how much they're contributing to the discussion. Neither of them talking to the ladies during this timeout. But it looks like New Zealand very quick to the puck there. Flicks it over to the blue wall. And New Zealand just throwing the puck down this wall. Looks like they've got a good double team on the inside there, pushing it all the way down past the Australian bench and into the centre. Australia looks like they've managed to get enough possession to swim it all the way across. It looks like the fullback there swimming it all the way across the goals. Usually you see a lot more flicking going on in an Australian switch, but good work by her. The referees are calling advantage. Not sure who this is for, as it looks like the Australians are switching it back across. They do have the winger on the outside, but the flick just a little bit too short. Number 10 from Australia, Romy Keppel on the outside there, couldn't be found. New Zealand is now multiple numbers and just looking to keep it out of that pack as New Zealand switch it across, trying to find enough support to bust through this Australian line. New Zealand really taking it all the way to that other side of the court. And Australia, strong attack there, but New Zealand just able to keep that possession. Good work on the outside there, and that's a good work. I assume that's still Romy Keppel in that same position. She may have subbed though, chopping down that flick, and able to get that puck out to the Australian back. Good work from New Zealand though, recovering possession and doing a big drive here through the middle, curled off by the Australian fullback. Not quite sure who that was there. It looks like Alice Vanderwood doing a bit of a manoeuvre there, and then just dishing off to the back. New Zealand now, number 5, Gabby Steer, scored that last goal, and now she's coming up through the middle again. Gives up possession to the Australian, but they're good curl. All of the girls there really fighting for possession of this puck. Australia look like they're going to want to switch it around. We'll see if New Zealand will give enough room to do so. It doesn't look like they have. Australia stuck on that wall underneath their sub bench there. Looks like they're getting a couple of quick subs in and just pinning it to that wall for a bit as the referee's hand goes in the air. It's going to be a chopping foul against New Zealand. Maybe a little too eager to stop that puck coming off the Australian wall into a big switch. So Australia now a chance to clear this out from their defence. The score still one New Zealand, Australia 0. As everyone on the bottom, and Australia once again taking it very wide. That fullback holding onto the puck for a long time, not willing to show which way she's going to flick. Looks like she finally flicks it out wide under a lot of pressure from New Zealand, and really not much ground gained there from Australia, but now they're breaking out. Big 45. New Zealand's turned a lot of back and forth in this game. It seems as soon as one of the teams wants to go on a big drive through the middle, the other team is ready to turn it back on its head. New Zealand, great work here through the middle, and you can see lots of numbers over the top. Australia just managing to slide that one out and keep possession. Good work, that's Tori Wickham there, number 2, pushing that one all the way out. Great little move by the New Zealand winger there, shoving it back in underneath. Looked like she lost possession, but great work by New Zealand there. They've shoved it all the way under. But Australia, looks like they managed to sneak it to the other side of the goal tray. I didn't see how that happened. I'm sure that New Zealand is equally surprised as the puck comes out away from our cameras now. And it really looked like New Zealand were going to score there, but the Australian defence very strong when they're under the pressure like that. Australia now desperate to find someone to pass to. And it looks like it's going to be an obstruction call against Australia. Obviously not clearing that puck away, or we'd probably see a penalty goal. And just over 5 minutes left in this half. Australia's being pushed back. The New Zealand are doing the little horns signal. I don't know what that means. As far as I can tell, actually, the horns is you flick forward and double team. And the chatterbox mouth means you're going to flick it sideways. That's as far as I've been able to tell playing against the under-22 boys. I'm not sure whether the girls have a different system, but it looks like that was a flick forward, so maybe the horns is a universal signal among Kiwi culture. Another call here as the New Zealanders drive it into the Australian defence, and it's going to be against Australia again. This is going to be very close to the Australian backline. We'll see if New Zealand can capitalise. Just a couple of minutes left in this half. And it's a thumbs up. Haven't seen that one before. Maybe I just can't see the pinky finger and it's actually horns. But no, it's just a thumbs up from number 4 there. Courtney Colhoun, who I assume is going to be taking the puck for New Zealand. And the thumbs up means, hard to tell because Australia, great work there defending. Big swerve into the middle though from, can't see her cap number because she's got a thing on number 12 from New Zealand, Emma Belvia, but looks like Australia able to keep it out, but too many numbers from New Zealand, a big reload and very quick to turn that puck around back into the goals. We'll see what number that was. Looks like number 5 there. Another goal for Gabby Steer. That's her second one out of 2. With just a little bit less than 4 minutes left. This half, really good work from New Zealand. Australia looked strong on that goal tray, but they started driving out and New Zealand able to turn that puck around with incredible speed. Looks like a brief pause in play here as New Zealand are going to call their timeout for this half. Both teams look like they're willing to rest up their players. Of course, both these teams will be playing tomorrow in the final, so maybe they just want to rest up for that. New Zealand looking very strong, having multiple good attacks on this Australian backline. Australia, while they've had a reasonable amount of possession, haven't been able to convert it into attacking pressure on the New Zealand goal tray. And the New Zealanders all gathering around for a nice little chat. And it looks like it's Coach Robertisso again. Coach Stinson joining him in the pool to have a chat to the Australian under-27 ladies. Coach Vanderwood staying in the bench, possibly just there for moral support. He's having a bit of a chat to the refs though, so maybe he's going to offer his suggestions to them. Everyone coming back now. We count down the last couple of seconds of this timeout, and there's still just under 4 minutes left in this half. Everyone's off. Looks like New Zealand just get there first, but Australia quick to get their bat on that puck. Whole thing devolves into a big mess around that thing, and it looks like it's going to be Australia driving through the middle there. New Zealand quickly able to funnel that energy off to the sides though. And it looks like the play's stalled up against that far side wall away from our cameras, and New Zealand pushing up. Good work by them. Looks like they've just got too many numbers for the Australians to handle on that wall. New Zealand now swimming, looking for support, trying to get that flick into the middle. It looks like they're going to manage to get it, but good numbers from Australia. Ooh. And number 9 from New Zealand there, just trying to get the push back in. Portia Manoko trying to push that puck underneath the Australian defender. Good work, having multiple Australians there swimming that puck out. Looks like they may curl around on that one now. And New Zealand, great flick. Looks like I might have hit her in the head, but the refs aren't calling anything, so I'm going to assume it wasn't. It looks like Alice Vanderwood there. Just clearing that puck for Australia once again onto the corner. And still the majority of the aggression coming in from this New Zealand side. Referee just wanting his moment in the limelight as well. And we're sure the referees are doing a great job, but it's actually not you that we're here to see. So get out of here, refs. Good work, Australia. They've cleared it out to that far wall. They've managed to relieve the New Zealand pressure, at least for a little bit. It looks like New Zealand just can't get the numbers at the moment to do one of those big drives that we've seen from them so far. Australia pushing it up past the halfway line now. But New Zealand, very, very strong, very good at recycling those players back. Getting behind the puck and making these Australian drives. Very hard to do indeed. Looks like an Australian player now swimming it, but New Zealand take the puck. Or just shepherd it off there by an Australian player. Good work, Australia. We're going to need to fix this camera, unfortunately. As we might need something a little bit sturdier in the future if referees are going to keep kicking our cameras. Speaking of referees, there is a quick free being called here against the New Zealanders. I'm not quite sure what that was for, but the New Zealanders being pushed back. Australia a chance to clear this one. Alice Vanderwood.
Australia's defence.
It was chopping called against the New Zealanders. And Alice Vanderwood taking that puck, swimming out. You can't quite see what's going on. It's pinned underneath the Australian sub-bench. And it looks like a lot of subs coming in for Australia. As it looks like the Kiwis trying to mount a bit of an offensive here. A good 45 drive. You can see numbers streaming over the top for the New Zealanders. Bit of a argy-bargy there between two Australian and New Zealand player. That's Tori Wickham from Australia. And what looks like Georgia Calhoun, number 10 from New Zealand. Trying to get possession of that puck. Looks like Georgia just managed to shoulder off Tori. But New Zealand now, lots of numbers in the middle. Bit of a seagull push there. It looked like Roman Keppel, but I'm not sure. And that's going to be half-time. Australia managed to hold their goal tray. The score 2, New Zealand, 0 for Australia. And great work from New Zealand, grabbing a lot of numbers on that offensive goal tray, turning around the Australian attempts to drive out of defence. As the announcer Dave lets the crowd here know, and we have got a little bit of a crowd here. A lot of New Zealand players look like they're just maybe waiting for their next game or just finished a game. And a good number of parents from what looks like both New Zealand and Australian teams just sitting around watching the game. All the players now coming in for a bit of a chat.
And it looks like all of the coaches as well.
Yeah, Coach Vanderwood finally figured out what he wants to say to these girls. We'll see if his advice can help turn around this game, as New Zealand really have had the best of it. Only 2 goals up in this first half, but very little aggression from the Australians. The New Zealand work rate just keeping them off the offensive. It looks like Captain Coach Hannah Robertiso also has something to say. Not sure quite what that is, though. New Zealand team look very relaxed. A lot of them sitting up on top of the boom that is one end of this court. As their coaches, two coaches here, not sure who they are, but they're having a nice little chat to the players, and lots of nods going around on the New Zealand side. I imagine they're quite happy with the way this game's going. Referees, of course, always want to have a bit of a chat at half time. I imagine it gets quite boring being a referee, so you want to talk about what's been going on. Pulling themselves up on the side of the pool now, possibly a little bit cold as well. Trying to get out of the water for a couple of minutes. But it looks like everyone ready to start play again. You can see the New Zealanders slowly making their way back over to the side bench. Referees back onto the pool playing field. And the Australian water bottle basket being pushed over there by the multiple Australian coaches as the Australians gather around for a final cheer before this last half of hockey. A little bit less than 30 seconds now as they decide on their final starting six. New Zealanders ready to go. And everyone's ready now as we count down. We've now, of course, switched sides, so New Zealand will be on the right side of your screen, Australia on the left side. A very quick strike from both teams. Looks like New Zealand just a little bit closer. That's New Zealand on your right. Flicking the puck, not able to keep possession though. Ooh, great work from number 2 from New Zealand, Christy Burrows, coming in there and spoiling the Australian pass. And New Zealand now just swimming the puck around, really looking for options. Puck goes through. There's Christy again. She's on the wall. Lots of Australians surrounding her though, but she manages to find the inside. Though stolen by the Australian back, and Australians looking to go for a bit of a swim across the side of the pool. Australia switching it all the way to the opposite side. It looks like New Zealand putting on a fair bit of pressure, but Australia's gained a fair bit of ground from this switch, pushing it past the halfway line. New Zealand very aggressive though when they take that puck back, pushing it back. Looks like it's been stalled up against the wall. Briefly here, New Zealand slowly making ground down that wall. Lots of people on the surface. Looks like neither team quite sure which way the puck's going to go. As New Zealand keep their slow progression down the wall towards the Australian goal. Australia able to clear out that drive though. It looks like they've locked it down from now. New Zealand all the way in the Australian the Australian defensive corner. New Zealand's attacking corner. And the puck's come a long way back, but it looks like it might just be New Zealand trying to get that better angle on the goal tray. Very hard to attack down that back wall. Much easier to bring it all the way around and attack the front of the goals. Australia here doing a good job pushing out of their own corner. They haven't been able to get very far though before the New Zealanders start cycling around again. And it looks like New Zealand now in possession. Got a lot of free room, but the referee has got his hand in the air, and it's going to be a chopping call against the New Zealand team. So Australia, bit of a chance to maybe make some room, find some possession, see if they can steal back a goal or two against this New Zealand 22s team. They're looking very strong so far in this game. All the Australian players racked up quite close to the wall here. We'll see whether Australia wants to go into that group of players. It looks like they've managed to make a pretty decent break for it. Trying to find someone to pass to there. Curling around. Very close to our camera side wall there. New Zealand looks like they've stolen possession and they're going wide again, taking it back to that far wall. Maybe trying to deny the Australians some subs here. Maybe just trying to find a bit of room to maneuver. Hard to tell. Locked on that side wall again. Really, we've seen a lot less drives to the middle in this half so far. Just a lot of back and forth action. And then both teams trying to pin it on the wall. It looks like number 6 from Australia unable to get the pass from their halfback. Steph Wickham in a good position, but the puck chopped down by New Zealand. Couldn't see the number on that New Zealand player, and the puck's right in the middle there, quite close to the Australian goals, but it looks like they're going to have the numbers to push it out back towards this camera side. Australia now still in possession. A bit of dolphin kick sending that down. Number 9 for Australia, Molly Martin going down, getting possession, spills back to the back. It looks like she's found the outside there. New Zealand, multiple people down. Puck spills inside. Australia still in possession. Really great work. Holding possession all throughout this drive. And the New Zealand is able to contain that in the corner. Can't see what's going on now, of course, that ref shirt right in our way. Of course, the referees have to see what's going on as well. New Zealand look like they've managed to get a couple of metres ground off that corner, but the referees calling an obstruction or barging call against the Kiwis. So really, Australia's first big chance here to have a crack at the New Zealand goal tray. A lot of members down very quick there from the New Zealanders. Australia had Molly on the inside there, on the outside rather, didn't want to use her, as New Zealand dumbing inside, swerved to the outside. It looks like they're about to clear this one. Great work there from number 2, New Zealand. That's Christy Burrows again. Swimming. Oh, big break there from her halfback as well. Obscured by the wall, couldn't see her number. But it looks like New Zealand have managed to push it all the way back underneath the Australian sub-bench. Great work from them defending this attack that Australia managed to put on. It looks like New Zealand now doing a big switch. Lots of pressure from the Australian wings though. New Zealand managed to get the flick around the outside, it looks like, because now they're coming down that side wall. Just stalled out now by the Australian team opposite their sub-bench. Quite hard to tell who has advantage here. It looks like the New Zealanders coming in on a bit of a 45 drive. Australia managing to get possession of that one and clear it out to the wall. Good work by that Australian back. The referee now calling advantage as the puck seems to be wedged into the corner. Australia making a good bit of ground up the wall here. Not sure who that is from Australia as it comes into the middle a little bit. New Zealand take back possession, back onto that wall. Very strong wall drive, these New Zealand girls. Very hard to tell what's going on that far away from our cameras, but it looks like it's just been stalled out a metre or so off that corner. Australia really want to hold it out of that corner. Once it gets in there, it is much harder to bring it back out. It's much harder to get your body in the correct position to swim straight out. And it's going to be a call from one of the refs here. It's going to be against Australia for an obstruction call. The Australian players are bullying into the New Zealand players a little bit, and they're calling a timeout now, really wanting to give themselves plenty of time to set up this defensive free. And New Zealand are going to have all the time in the world also to decide on what strategy they want to use to try to score. Of course, quite hard to score when the opposing team gets a lot of time to set up 6 members right in front of the goal tray there. But New Zealand is going to try their hardest here. Just one Australian coach coming in to have a chat with the Australian players here, and it looks like Coach Stino here coming to have a chat. He obviously thinks that the Australian players know exactly what they've got to do this far in their own defence, and they've been doing a good job so far. Only 2 goals for the New Zealand team, with a really extended pressure from them. Everyone on the bottom now, and New Zealand coming in hot. Push it into the centre. They really want to get a good angle on that goal tray. Oh, big flick just misses the edge of the goal tray there, and it looks like Australia might have enough numbers to clear this one out. New Zealand, that looked like Christy Bowes again, curling it around in the centre, really trying to find her halfback to reload to. And good work from Australia. They've managed to clear this one out again. Incredibly close from New Zealand though. That flick going so close to the goal tray, and it's being called a penalty shot from New Zealand, possibly because that flick hit someone's glove. It was gloving called against Australia. So bad luck to Australia, and the New Zealand aggression looking very good here as they get incredibly close to that goal tray, and Australia only managed to keep it out with a bit of their glove. Tori Wickham here defending the goal for Australia, and it's Courtney Colquhoun and Gabby Steer. Big flick comes in, and it looked for a second like Tori might be able to defend that one, but great pressure from New Zealand numbers 4 and 5, scoring that goal together. And that brings the score up to 3 to the Black New Zealand team and 0 for Australia with just 8 minutes 9 seconds left on the clock. New Zealand really have spent a lot of time in their attacking half, in the attacking corner and in the goal tray. We'll see if Australia can manage to fight back. Only really one big push from Australia this game that I can remember. And the referee going over and talking to Coach Vanderwood. Vanderwood seemed mollified by the referee's explanation. Doesn't want to start a fight. Definitely might make things harder for his girls. And the New Zealanders here very, very quick to the puck. Swerves one and looks to push through a second, but the Australians managed to curl it off, trying to get back to the safety of that wall to reset their line. New Zealand have got possession. They're looking to switch. Goes inside. Really great little move there. Manages to completely get around the Australian defender, and now multiple New Zealand players attacking on this goal tray. It looks like Australia managing to clear it out for now. Australia now pushing up past their sub-bench, and it's New Zealand in possession as they're switching it around. Will they better get on the outside? Australia, bit of pressure there, but not actually wide enough to prevent this switch from the 22 women's team that New Zealand's brought. A lot of pressure on that far wall. Seems like Australia's getting the best of it for now, making a little bit of headway, pushing just past the halfway line there. And it looks like it's being brought into the middle. Can't quite see which team has possession of the puck, unfortunately. It looks like Australia, as someone tries to swerve into the middle there. New Zealand able to stop that one quite easily. The buzzer goes off just as New Zealand look like they're getting a bit of possession, and it is going to be against New Zealand here. I think that was obstruction against New Zealand, and Australia setting up just on the halfway line here. Looks like it's going to be Tori Wickham taking this one for Australia. Everyone down. The flick goes right into the middle of that pack there, and it looks like the wide halfback here of Australia managing to get that one, and it's a big drive towards the goal tray. Looks like New Zealand managing to curl that one off and swimming very quickly away, pushing right out away from that defensive goal tray. They really want to keep it a long way away. Australia in again with a 45. New Zealand strip it off them, flicking around. Australia gets the steal, gets the curl, trying to find assistance, and so many New Zealanders down in defence. Great defensive work from this New Zealand team. Very hard for Australia to make any headway. That looks like number 5, Gabby Steer from New Zealand, finally clearing that one away. But Australia not ready to give up yet. Looks like a big push there, trying to force it through the New Zealanders' stick. Didn't work out. And zoom indeed on the back of this referee's blade as we zoom in on them. Pushed out now by the New Zealanders away from our camera's side into their defensive goal tray. But the refs are calling it. It's going to be a penalty for Australia. Looks like an illegal knockdown by one of those Kiwis. We didn't quite see what happened as we were focused in on that referee for just a couple of seconds, but that's sometimes all it takes in a little hockey. The Australian team just deciding who's going to take this offensive free puck. Looks like number 6, Rebecca Gatland, taking it for New Zealand, and it's going to be number 1 and number 2, Sonny Sky and Tori Wickham, flicking into the goal tray. Great work from Australia. That's the first goal for them for the match. New Zealand still lead 3-1, but Australia are going to be very happy with that goal. Bit of sustained pressure from the Australian team, managing to keep it in there long enough to score that goal. And it looks like the goal's been awarded to Tori Wickham from Tasmania. She is the vice-captain here. Everyone racking up again. Looks like they're eager to get started. 5 minutes 20 seconds left on the clock in this game. New Zealand very quick to get to the puck. Big flick over the top here. It looks like the Australian fullback able to pick that one up, but she opts to go straight back into the middle. Puck spills back, and the flick intercepted there by Emma Belvar. As she takes that puck from New Zealand, jams it onto the wall, and New Zealand able to get back control of that puck. Not quite sure his position here is a big swim around the side. If I had to guess, I'd say it's Australia looking to switch all the way across the opposite side of the goals. New Zealand now pushing into that corner. Very good work on the wall from these New Zealand girls, getting a lot of numbers down and pushing really hard into the corner. We'll see if the Australians manage to push back out. They have been fairly successful in this backline rotation. A lot of experience on this team, defending, of course. And the backline rotation, integral part of that. New Zealand now made of their way into the middle of the pool. And it looks like it's going to be cleared from now. Back into that far corner. Very hard to see what's happening. Australia rotating nicely. I think New Zealand are going to have to take this one out if they want to score. I can't imagine them getting through that strong Australian backline. Still so many numbers down on the bottom. It looks like Australia managing to push out a little way. Good for them, of course, but it does provide New Zealand with a better angle of attack, and great work from those New Zealand ladies, getting down lots of numbers and just smashing the puck into the goal tray. Number 5 from New Zealand there, Gabby Steer. I think that's her 3rd goal this match. Great work from her, as she was just on the inside of that Australian player and able to hook the puck as it came through, pushed by one of her teammates. Score now 4 goals for the New Zealand under-22 women and 1 for the Australian women here. Just a little bit over 3 minutes left in this match, and it looks like New Zealand really having the best of it. Of course, we'll see a repeat of this tomorrow afternoon for the finals, the under-22 finals. Australia versus New Zealand, only one team each country bought, excluding the Amazons team, which is playing in this competition but won't be playing tomorrow in the final. I've got a big push coming in here down that far wall by the New Zealand team. Referees seem happy to let the play continue, as it looks like Australia being forced back towards their defensive corner. New Zealand don't feel the need to take it off the back line, although it looks like they have a little bit. New Zealand really looking for that open space, have to take it back into the wall. Australia were covering just a little too hard on that outside wing. And New Zealand now back towards the Australian side. That's going to be a legal knockdown, pushing back against the Australians. They were making a good bit of headway. No, it's against New Zealand. Australia making a good bit of headway against this New Zealand team. And now New Zealand being pushed back a couple of metres off their back wall. This could be another chance for Australia. They've only scored 1 goal so far in this game. Let's see if they can get another one. Three forwards stacking up very tight, and it looks like number 11 there, getting 10 minutes off to the side to provide the wide option. Puck goes through, and great work, New Zealand absolutely smashing that one. A massive swim down the wall, just making that blue stuff billow as she swims down the wall there. Number 13, Jess Historic there, ready to continue the drive for New Zealand. Australia looks like they managed to hold them up a little bit. It's right underneath the Australian sub bench here. Australia gets a couple of subs in. The referee is calling advantage here. Not sure if he's going to decide whether enough advantage was had. It's quite a long one as well, as New Zealand bring this right into the middle. The referee says that's enough. He's not going to call anything. Australia now pushing out. Good work from the girls, managing to fend that one all the way across their own goal tray, a couple of metres out. And now pushing up about halfway down the field. New Zealand just stalling them there, still up against that far wall. And it looks like New Zealand now, big 45 in towards the goal. Looks like they've gotten around the Australians. No, one Australian defender still back to knock down that flick and push it out the back wall there. Lots of rotations coming in on that back wall. And New Zealand really looking for those 45 drives. Australia just stopping them getting into the goal tray. Pushing out now against that far corner. And the referee's hands in the air. We'll see what he wants to call. A couple of spectators just in the way here. It's going to be against Australia here. I think it was a gloving call, Claudia. Did you see
It looks
that one?
like gloving from here.
Yeah, gloving call against Australia here. Very close to their defensive goal tray. We'll see what New Zealand want to do with this. I can't see any New Zealand hand signals, so maybe they're just going to win this one. A lot of numbers down. New Zealand have wide players, they've got deep players, and they've got a big flick coming in. Very dangerous. Looks like it's still right in front of the Australian goal tray, but it looks like we're going to clear it out now. Pushing it back away from our cameras into that far corner. Good work, Australia. New Zealand unable to convert that free puck right in front of goals. And we're back to Australia's rotations here, and it's going to be full time here as the final score is 4 New Zealand, 1 Australia. Good work, New Zealand. And of course, we'll see the rematch of this tomorrow afternoon in the under-22 women's division. Next game we've got coming up here in just a second will be the Australian A team against the Australian B team. That is the bronze playoff of the Australian girls. The Australian under 18 girls team. And we're just going to pause the stream